Welcome to the debate of the week, ladies and gentlemen. This is about Seth Rollins. How can I say this? When you look at this situation with Seth, you think, damn, that's such bad luck. He was doing so well. The WWE could have changed something. Triple H could have done a feud with him by next year. To be honest, I feel sorry for Seth Rollins, not because he blew out his knee and he's not going to get pushed. I feel sorry for Seth Rollins because the WWE really didn't have an idea what to do with him, and they overutilized him, and he got hurt because they pushed too hard on their talent. Let me elaborate on this. We look at Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, Cesaro, Bray Wyatt, Ryback, all these people in the last 3 years that have come up. You see the WWE at certain points gave them a little bit of a push or gave them a major push, and then they fed them to Cena in one form or another, and they got buried. The general premise, other than, well, Dean Ambrose did get fed to Cena at one point. And when it comes to Roman Reigns, he barely got fed to Cena. So they've actually put some stock in him. They didn't want Cena to interact with him right yet. But eventually he's going to be interactive with him. But when it comes to Seth, the first one of NXT to really get somewhere, where Seth has great talent, he can talk pretty well. He's an Albanian, so I'm not saying that makes him better or worse than a Mexican or a regular American or anyone white. I'm just saying that he's the first Albanian, I believe he's Albanian, to actually get somewhere very prominent in American wrestling. And that means a lot. Like Sheamus being the first Irish-born WWE champion or World Heavyweight champion, if you want to call it like that. In Seth Rollins' case, he had the major title for several months and was given a lot of prominent time. And that means a lot. But here's the problem. When it comes to Seth Rollins, it wasn't the fact that he didn't really get really prominent featuring away from Cena, or away from the Shield, or away from the Wyatts. It was the problem that WWE has no long-term goals. And yeah, I know Daniel Bryan got hurt. He probably would have had a program with Daniel Bryan. I know when it came to Ryback, he got hurt, and he probably would have had a program with him, and definitely Roman Reigns got hurt. He was out for a while. So it made it harder for him to have people to work with. But let's be honest, you got a lot of people in the WWE he could have been working with. He could have been working with the Big Show. As much as you want to say that he's been used too much, he is a prominent figure there. There's Mark Henry. He could have been working with Mark Henry. He could have been working with several people that, even though they're not the most highest people there, they could have given them good storylines, good promotion, a good rub, and could have brought people into the seats. The Miz is a great example. They could have turned Seth back into a face and let The Miz, if they had not buried his ass, put him into a program with him. And honestly could have gotten somewhere. Look at Daniel Bryan dealing with The Miz. Daniel Bryan dealing with The Miz made Daniel Bryan. No matter how many people want to say, no, Daniel Bryan didn't get made by The Miz, to a certain extent, he did. He got a good rub from The Miz. The Miz helped his ass. And it wasn't John Cena who helped Daniel Bryan. It was The Miz who helped Daniel Bryan. And you could have had that with Seth Rollins. Seth could have been much higher than he was. But here's the problem with Seth. He was overutilized. He was pushed so hard, like everyone else, to produce a product that would make the WWE extra money because they're tanking. I said this a while ago on one video where I believe that the WWE is going to move to their network permanently. They're going to stop working on USA. They're going to stop doing any type of pay-per-views on cable. They want to migrate from cable television to the internet completely without any type of worry that they're going to lose a lot of revenue. I know that, like the Slug Daddy already said, that Vince cannot let this go because he doesn't like when a idea gets crappy, like the NFXL, you know, I can't remember of it right now. But you know what I mean. Everything that Vince does must succeed. If it doesn't succeed, he's going to push that shit until it succeeds. And if it doesn't, eventually he'll phase it out and it will die. But in this respect, they're right. When you look at cable television, it is phasing out. As much as people don't think it will, in the next 20 or 30 years, eventually Netflix, Hulu, and any other show you see is going to be eventually off of cable, and it's going to be on the internet completely. And the only thing cable is going to have, and that's like, in my case, Cablevision, they're only going to supply the internet. Some people may still do television through cable. Others are going to do the phone. But in general, like myself, I'm only using internet. I'm not using television cable, and I'm not using the phone. I'm doing everything online. So Vince has it right. Everything is eventually going to the internet. And he is a little behind the times because he could have done this 5 years ago. But admittedly, things were not ready then. But things could have been set up. But here's the thing. The product is shit. The current wrestling product is terrible. They have not promoted anybody very well. They barely do any feuds other than Cena and maybe 2 or 3 others. You got people getting hurt constantly because the WWE is so worried that they do not want to lose their fan base. Their fan base is angry and they know it. Much of their fan base, the hardcore wrestling fans, are tired of what the WWE has been doing. And many of them have either gone to MMA or maybe they've gone to Lucha Underground. They've gone to TNA, of course, which is a double-edged sword because TNA is not doing very well. Many fans either have migrated to another wrestling promotion or some other type of media, or they stopped watching wrestling completely. So who they have left, they're doing everything they can to keep them. So they decide they're going to lower their prices compared to cable and then belittle them saying that cable is stupid, come to our product online. They are pushing for people to go online instead of watching cable so they can phase out USA, they can phase out anything else, and they just exclusively stays on the internet. The cost will be way lower than it would be if they have to keep paying for any type of contracts through cable. Because they do pay something. They got to pay fees, they got to pay late things. I can't really say what they are. But in general, that's the way Vince sees it. But the product is terrible. The wrestlers are getting hurt. Here, how about this? Almost 80% of the product has gone bad in the last 6 years. Currently, many wrestlers have been hurt because they had to be pushed so hard. Many wrestlers have been let go because the product was so bad, and Vince, wanting to get his wife into the government, has dropped their profit margins to the point where they had to get rid of a lot of wrestlers who actually potentially could be done. And on top of that, Vince is racist. As much as I'd rather not think that there's racism in wrestling, particularly the largest promotion on the planet, there is still racism in the WWE, and it's generally from Vince and Kenny McMahon. It's not generally from everyone else who is in the management. But they eventually become racist because they have to deal with Vince, and Vince has things done in a certain way that they have no choice but to go with. And either they leave or they stay. But for Seth Rollins, I'm very worried for him because when he comes back, they're going to push his ass too hard. They will. Just look at Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso. Jey just came back. They just had a match that was on Raw. Did you see that Jey got his shoulder jacked almost when it came to Neville doing a kick to somebody and threw one of the guys back onto Jey, and Jey pulled his shoulder and he went, ah! He wasn't kidding that shit. He just came back from a shoulder separation. And already there's a chance that he's going to hurt himself. I'm not saying that wrestlers are not supposed to go all out to a certain extent to get the asses in the seats. But there's a certain line you cannot pass where, one, the wrestlers are already working the asses off, but then you make them work harder because you're already losing money. You're telling them back, you got to do something special. Get something out there. You need to do this because your check is on the line. What the fuck? they're going to do whatever the hell they have to, and they're going to get hurt in the process. We don't need more wrestlers getting on the drugs or getting so badly hurt they go out of the business permanently. Or they get disenfranchised because, look at Naomi. Naomi should already have been calm. Naomi, Tamina. Tamina is Superfly's daughter. Look at what happened with Ric Flair's daughter. How come Ric Flair's daughter got the fucking title and not fucking Tamina? Tamina is Superfly's daughter. She should have already had the title 2 years ago. 2 fucking years ago she should have had the title. And she's never gotten it. Look at Ric Flair's daughter. Came up to the roster in less than a couple of months, she got it. What's the difference? There isn't any. There's no freaking difference. You got 2 legends. And one came before the other. They're daughters. And it should have been this one first and then that one. Not this one. And I look at Seth Rollins. He's no second generation son to a legend. But he's going to get treated just like everybody else. He's going to be pushed too hard when he comes back. And he's going to get hurt again. And either that, he's going to be exhausted. He's going to hurt himself by either doing drugs, or he's going to get so disenfranchised he may just want to take off. A lot of them have been doing that lately. So this is my rant on Seth Rollins and the WWE. Please leave a comment below. Tell me if you like me doing these debated weeks. Just tell me. If you don't like them, I'll leave them alone for a while. Have a good day and have a good night. Peace!